Hello and welcome to Mr. Tom Excel Tutorials. In this video I would like to show you how to use the table feature for Microsoft Excel 2013. In my last video we spent some time manually formatting data to form a table using the various features in the Home tab. This time I'd like to use the table feature to bypass a lot of that and show you some of its extra features which are really handy. So the first thing we'll do is highlight the table in question and we'll come up to the Insert tab. We click on that and we come down to Table and click on that. It'll come up with this text box asking us where the data for our table is, and it's correctly suggested that it's in the area that we already highlighted. It's also correctly checked that our table has headers, which is suggesting that our top row are headers as opposed to raw data, and that is of course correct. So we'll click OK, and it immediately creates a table for us, and it's formatted it for us as well, which is nice. It saved us a lot of time. If you're not particularly fond of the formatting that the table has suggested, you can come up to this table styles section in the top right and click on this drop down, and it gives you a whole host of different types of styles that you can choose from. I will just I'll pick up just a basic blue. No, I won't. I'll pick one with banded rows, i.e. different coloured rows each as you go down. So first of all, our formatting is done for us, which is nice. The next thing that is a nice touch is it has automatically put in the drop downs for filtering purposes, which you'd have to do manually otherwise in our headers. So if you haven't used these before, clicking on this will give you a range of options. So it's not as useful in a table of this size. It's so small that we don't really need to do any filtering because we can see everything. But if you have a table that goes on for rows and rows and rows, you might want to just filter for a certain type of book, for example. Let's say we're interested in filtering for fiction. So we click on the type drop down and we deselect select all, and then we just click on the fiction and then press return or click on OK, and it will filter it for just the fiction books and the sales thereof. We can undo that simply enough by selecting all or pressing undo. The other feature which is nice is you can sort very easily in these tables. If I wanted to sort for March sales to see which type of book had sold the most, I click on the March drop down and then I can sort by smallest to largest or largest to smallest. Let's do largest to smallest, and it will give us a table showing fiction at the top with 250 sales versus 90 for non-fiction and 70 for picture books. So it just automatically puts in the filtering and sorting options for us, so we don't have to do it manually, and that's very handy. The other feature which is nice is that it will add rows for you and include the formatting and features of the table without you having to do anything yourself. So say we're in the picture section and we wanted to add another row for another type of book. We can tab over to the final cell in the table and tab again, and it will instantly enter a new row for us. So we decided we want to sell thriller books, and I'll just put in some sales information, obviously fictional. I don't own a bookstore. If there was another type we wanted to enter, we can tab again. It'll enter another row automatically. I don't have that at this time, so I'm going to press Control Z. It will undo the action I just did. The next feature, which is nice, is that we can also add columns in the same way. Now, let's say we wanted to add a quarterly total for the January, February, and March sales. We can simply click on the cells to the right of the table, and I'll just enter a header of quarterly total. And when I press enter, it'll insert the column for me, so I don't have to do any of the formatting, like I say, just with the rows. It's the same with the columns. It will work that all out for me. Now, if I wanted to enter a auto sum here, I can just come up to the auto sum button here, click on this, and it will automatically suggest that maybe I want to sum all the cells to the left of the cell that I'm currently in, and that's correct, I do. This will happen even if we weren't in this table feature, but the nice thing about the table feature is that it will predict that we want to do this for all the other rows in the table. So at the moment we're just summing columns B, C and D in row 5, but when I press enter, it will automatically put in the same formula for all the rows going down, and it will calculate the quarterly total for non-fiction, fiction, picture, and thriller books, which is great. The final feature I wanted to show you is that, say we wanted to enter a totals row at the bottom, showing January, February, March, and a quarterly total amount for all types of books. Instead of entering some calculations at the bottom manually, we can come up to the Design tab, to Table Tools. For that to appear, you'll need to be inside. You have to click inside the table, and it will appear at the top here, and it will give you some different options. And what we want to do is check Total Row. Once we check that box, it puts in a total row for us. It's automatically put in the sum of the quarterly totals, 1,410, which is the sum of these four above it. By clicking on that cell, it also gives us a drop-down option, and we can do various things. We can average those numbers rather. We can count them. Obviously, the answer is 4. That's 4 entries. We can find out what the maximum is and the minimum, various options, but we're going to stick with sum, and we can go along and we can enter these for each of the different columns. Oops, the standard deviation, we don't want that. Sum, and finally the sum for January. So those are some of the basic features of the Microsoft Excel table. I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I will eagerly answer them all. Thank you for watching. Bye.